company. And definitely for our Associate Power Coach program, which is 60 hours here, it's actually 75 hours worldwide. But for India, we brought it down to 60 hours, which still meets the qualifications for the IIC, ICF, and others. And we had to reduce the price significantly. Sometimes coming here without making a profit. And that's okay. You know, hopefully as the volumes grow, we'll be able to make up the difference. But our Associate Power Coach program, 60 hours in the rest of the world, you would pay $3,200 for that. And here in India, what is it, Indrajit, in terms of dollars? Indrajit, the APC is how many Canadian? Sorry? 100,000 rupees.
In India, we are offering for 100,000, but it's 160,000 otherwise, if it was to be done in dollar conversion.
Yeah. Okay. So the cost has been reduced by more than a third, and that's okay. That's good. That's good. And I think most coach training companies are you know, we know we have to do that, so we do it. And it's not just India. There will be other countries that have the same situation. Yeah? So we just make those accommodations. Yeah?
Can I add to that?
Yes.
As somebody who's paid that kind of money, and let me assure you the cost of getting coaching training is going down from the last 3-4 years. Now this is typical of anything which comes from abroad. I mean, at one point of time, Microsoft wanted to sell Windows in India for some $500 or whatever. And obviously nobody would buy it. And now that the price is down, some people have started buying it. So all businesses from abroad which come into India finally find an India pricing. So this is an evolution process. I believe that the cost will go down further. No disrespects, but as more people in India start learning, becoming good and training coaches, then the cost will go down. That's one side of the story. The other side is that as of today at least, if you can get some customers, the return on investment of your training comes back very, very quickly if you want to be a professional coach. It comes very quickly because the pricing for coaches is also substantially high. I believe that in the next 2-3 years that will also come down. There will be a demand-supply equation as happens everywhere. And if your organization is sponsoring you for a particular coaching program, then the return on investment comes in different ways. Then it's not the money which is spent on you or this thing. Then it's about the return that you bring to the organization. So at least in my experience, the money spent has been worthwhile, both financially as well as by way of satisfaction in terms of doing what I wanted to do.
And you can get your money back very quickly, you know, when you look at what the cost of the certification is and 2 or 3 clients and it's paid. So we don't want to look at it as a cost. We want to see it as how much revenue is going to bring us in the future. So I think, you know, a bit of a paradigm shift there in thinking. Yeah.
I'll just add a point. See, there is something in India called as CV value. All of you understand what I'm talking about. What is the price that you will get next time when you switch your job? And you can rest assured that once you have coaching on your CV, the next job that you'll get, you'll recover it within a month. So that purely depends. And like the way Shyam said, if you get into professional coaching, you can recover the money within 10 sessions. But yes, because the costs are in dollars, and when you divide it, anything by multiplied by 45, it goes up.
And just by the way, on that topic, and some of you may want to know how much does a coach charge, right? Be interesting to see the feedback from the panel here on what do you think is the going rate for an executive coach, business coach versus a life coach? Any thoughts?
I like that. I like that. I like it.
You all want to know that question? Yeah, I knew you were going to ask that, so go ahead.
Sure. I'd love to answer that question. It depends on a lot of variables. If all of that is in place, then it's easier to give you a figure. Lots of things are there, it depends upon the number of sessions. More importantly, what is the goal? Is it something which is, does it just need a paradigm shift that he's looking at? Of course, all of it requires paradigm shift. Is he just focused on his professional life? Is he looking at a lot of other things? The number of sessions, the medium of delivery, is it going to be face-to-face, or is it all going to, some of it is going to be on Skype, on telephone? A range is what I can give you at the moment. It could be per session. Could be somewhere. I've heard people doing sessions for as low as 3,000 rupees per hour to 15, 20,000 an hour too. It again is dependent on variables, how much you've been able to make your mark in the industry. Are there people standing there to recommend you who have experienced your services? And again, certifications count here. So have you invested in yourself? Thank you.
I would just like to add something to the panelists there. I agree with
Can
whatever...
you speak right into the microphone, please?
Pardon?
Can you speak right into the microphone?
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. To what Mr. Shyam and Shalini and Yogesh has said, it's very true. Just to add a little non-business angle to that and a non-commercial angle to that is, if you are looking at coaching as something as a life-changing process for ourselves, believe me, more than my business, it has done wonders to me. And I think this kind of a price is still very, very less for a life-changing experience. That is one. And second, if the cost is very, very low, every person here would think that I can be a coach, and you would have a pool of coaches who are just not up to the mark. So there has to be a certain distinguishing level which encourages or discourages people to take this up as their profession. And therefore, I think the pricing is just right at the moment. Thank you.
Can I ask a question here? I would like to ask a question. Yeah. I want to know, is there some minimum kind of qualification which is required, some minimum requirement to become a coach?
Okay. I didn't answer the first one. Maybe I'll add that at the end of this question. To become a coach, okay, I know some people who have been coaching for years, and they are exceptionally good coaches, except that it wasn't called coaching at that time. All right, in HR terms, it was self-disclosure, appreciative inquiry, etc., etc. Today, since coaching is becoming an organized, defined kind of a thing, I guess the minimal, inverted commas, qualification would be a certificate or a credential from one of the bodies like this, ICF or this one or whatever, which probably means at least about 60 to 100 hours of coach-related training from some reasonably known, and you can check that on the websites, company, and some other conditions they have, which is normally doing coaching practice. So those would be the minimum conditions, I guess, that would be needed. After that, one can keep adding on. Technically, there is nothing required. You can become a coach otherwise, but it may not, if you're doing it professionally, it may not sell in the market, or it may not come on the CV, or it may not give you the confidence that you can be a proper coach. Okay?
Thank you.
I think we basically, as coaches, need to believe in our hearts that we have a lot of love to give. Because it's a profession of love, believing in love, believing in our clients. I think, and even if you don't, when you're going through the coach training process, you learn how to do that. How to remove your judgments of people and, yes, authentic intent. So No prior qualifications. If you have a brain, come along.
Okay, can I ask a question? My question has actually two parts. While it's being said that coaching is catching up in India, question number one or first part of the question is, as consultants, do we go and market coaching today to the organizations, or what is the percentage of organizations coming to you and saying, okay, we require coaching? That is question one. The second part of the question is, while we talk of coaching, it is connected to executive coaching, CEOs and board members and top management. What is the acceptability of the coaching in the middle level of the organization or the just promoted managers?
Okay, so I can take that. To your first question, how is it that I have experienced it? There are development needs, that are found in people. So just like you have training need analysis, you also have an individual development plan as part of your performance management process. And when you have processes like succession planning, you have, should you call it talent mapping, you realize that you have some fast trackers. There could be certain development needs, and the point that Yogesh talked about, what does it take to be a manager, and from manager to transform into a leader, okay? Now, some of these aspects, if you look at, and not necessarily one size fits all. It's primarily in terms of what kind of needs that the individual has. Depending on that, you would suggest sometimes group coaching, which can be done internally, and sometimes obviously you would need specialized people. Okay, so internal coaching, like I said, depends on what is the buy-in. Okay, I am a coach. How comfortable are people coming and opening? When you're trying to groom middle management to take on senior positions in the organization, it also comes as a development need. So again, going to the fact about saying, I will tell you what your need is. What is increasingly seen in organizations is people come and said, I think I need to be coached on these aspects. Okay, so people are seeking out, and hence there is increased buy-in from the middle management because they are aspirational. They want to, move up and take on senior positions. So they think that that gap can be filled, and it's a journey. It's not saying you do 6 months of training or coaching and then you sort of make the cut. It's about, a process of evolution, and you eventually see that there are those needs that get addressed. Okay, so increasingly in my experience, I see that people are seeking for it, and there is much more acceptance. You obviously have some, odd men and women out in an organization where you have to do a selling job. Okay, and that is where, people in the HR function have to influence. It's not so much about selling, but it's about influencing people, to accept something, saying this will do good for you. If not, it will not do you any harm. Maybe, that's the point that you sort of try and influence them with.